Dale's DFS. If you are here for some My Super
Didn't see you there. What's up, guys? Happy middle of the week. It's March 24, 2022, and that makes it a Thursday. Hopefully, you guys are having a good start to your Thursday. I am. Sorry. It's one of those weird, small, condensed slates that now have a lot of moving pieces and usage fluctuations, which should be fun. I actually like situations like this where multiple big usage guys are rolled out, and for prop hunting, we can do a little bit more due diligence on seeing who truly has benefited, who will benefit, kind of project who does better without your big boys, right? No Giannis, no DeRozan, no John Morant. Like, these are significant outs, which I like. I like that for prop hunting, and I will be using that quite a bit tonight. We'll be using the on-off court tool quite a bit, and hopefully we land on some soft lines by the field, and we'll be all right, man. Shout out to the live chat. Chronic from Down Under in the chat. Oh, genius says, how old is that Yankees beanie? I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I mean, do beanies have a shelf life? I feel like hats and beanies are like lifetime, like it's a shirt basically at that point. I'm probably even longer than a shirt. What up, Chris Smith? Mock Walsh is nice of Ty Lue to let us know about those minutes limit. Steve in the chat. Mia Moore, Quinn. Chronic says Proofer didn't happen. What happened? He was first. Oh, I guess he was first, but he was way first. Today we are joined by Eric. Eric's Prop Shop in the chat, formerly the prop bet artist formerly known as E Made It Happen. What's up, Eric? How's the weather in Colorado? Yesterday got down in the 40s here.
Yeah, it's good, man. Today's our first kickoff to spring. It's supposed to be like 66 outside. Yesterday we had like 35, 40 mile an hour winds, so that was a little crazy, but it's a good day, man.
Yeah, don't tell me about wind. No, it's still whipping and zipping out there, but yeah, been quite windy and a little bit chilly. What up, Willie Lewis? Who am I missing? Super Logical. Man, you guys are also Thomas Pruitt says Vooch kind of night points over. I could say that. Is Ja out? Oh, I thought when I went live, somebody in Discord said he was out. So I don't think he's officially out, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna be out. Or no, he is rolled out. He got rolled out. Actually, there's quite a bit of news here.
Yeah, the rest of some guys.
John Morant out. Dylan Brooks out. I mean, Desmond Bane and Tyus Jones. Yeah, this is going to be quite the next man up night. Brandon Clark out, so Jaren Jackson might get deeper minutes. Steven Adams as well, and if Jackson cannot foul, it's a massive opportunity, massive matchup here. This is unfortunate for me because I just reset the projections about 10 minutes ago, which I kind of anticipated Ja would be out, but I like it a lot for props. I might go crazy with it, but hopefully we give PrizePicks enough time to create some prompts here. I think the Dylan Brooks news, I guess we should have expected that on a back-to-back. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but John Morant being rolled out, I essentially did expect him to play, so that works. Yeah. Got me a sports book here. Let's go, Chronic. Chronic in Australia now. You guys know Chronic. It's been struggling to scratch that itch that is the sweat getting some action on sports, man. That's good to hear that Chronic now can bleed money with the rest of us on Vucevic tonight. Anyway, chat. We did Josh's video this morning, right? Or you guys don't know this, I'm Josh's editor. He'll send me the video, I'll edit it so that it's hopefully a little bit more conveniently consumable for you guys on the front end. And I'm just like, man, these videos only get 400, 500, 600 views some days. It's like, what can we do to spice it up a little bit? So I was like, let's do a $20 PayPal giveaway. I mean, $20 card on PrizePicks. Hey, why not take a free $20? Well, check this out. We're getting more subs. We're getting comments there. But the pivotal third step in that video process this morning was to join the free Discord and leave a comment in this 324 giveaway. So far, one person has done that. One person is eligible to win that free $20 on PayPal. So if you guys want to increase your chances and decrease Blizzy Durg's chances, you should probably go leave a comment on Josh's video. Make sure you're subscribed, and then come to this channel and type your YouTube name. That's incredible to me that like everyone missed like the most important part. It was literally laid out there. It was hard to miss. But I guess since he didn't bring vocal attention to it, is what it is. Been considering betting on the Australian Rugby League. Come on, Chronic. I don't even know where to begin. I'm sure there is an edge. These are like rugby touts, bro. We can get in a dark hole on YouTube finding rugby touts. Thomas says it's 16x day for 5-flex. Let's get it. Part of that NCAA promotion. Yeah, I've, a couple guys in Discord have been seeing talking about that. Maybe a slow-mo night. Colin Anderson. Yeah, okay. What a mock crap. The one day I missed the morning show, right? I mean, it's not too late. All you gotta do is make sure you're subscribed. Leave a comment on Josh's video. The reason I'm doing that, being, you guys know I don't lie, is that video deserves more views. So the more engagement with videos for the YouTube algorithm, the more YouTube pushes it. And right now we're getting like incredible conversion rates on like YouTube suggesting videos. But I don't know, Josh is worth 1,000 views, right? It's good info. He's just, this is what it is. But the YouTube consumer really just wants the 5 picks. They don't care about reasoning. They don't care about process. They just want the end result. But we like the journey sometimes. So don't stop believing. That's dumb. Anyway, what all games are on the site? So I want to go game by game here, Eric. We got time. It's a late lock today, and kind of keying on some spots for what we can target on PrizePicks. So the first game tonight is on an island at 7:30 Eastern. It's the Cavs at the Raptors, and we got Jared Allen still out. We got Rondo, Dean Wade out. But we don't quite know the statuses for sure on OG Anunoby and Gary Trent. So I guess let me pull up Toronto. Thank you, babe. And see if we can get an updated indication on their statuses. We got a doubtful tag on Anunoby, and we've got did not practice on Gary Trent. So I am going to lean doubtful on both these cats and reflect that as such in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, which is going to give us a little bit more expected usage in minutes for Van Vliet, for Scotty Barnes, and Siakam if that happens. But Gary Trent, just for what it's worth, not officially doubtful, just going off of the DNP. So lately, Darius Garland has been Chris Paul in his prime when it comes to assists. Some of the most incredible assist numbers in the last month or so. They have him straight up at 10 assists, which is, it sounds like a lot, but man, 16, 14, 13 in 3 of his last 5 games. But they also have him at 43 fantasy points, and I'm a little bit intrigued by that because I do have a pretty sizable gap between my fantasy projection and theirs. I got about a 51 fantasy point projection, so I'll take that. The pushback to that for me would be that he is prone to turning the ball over because of the high assist rate. Obviously, it does correlate often with a turnover rate. And the Toronto Raptors, if they're able to suit up Gary Trent, Van Vliet, Trent, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, you put them together, that's 5+ steals per game on average. And because of this spot, it could be even more. So I do get skittish on a high turnover guy like Darius Garland for PrizePicks because of the -1. You look at some of these turnover columns, a little bit better as of late, but you don't have to go too far back to see sevens and stuff. So that -7 would certainly be an unfortunate handicap. But because of projections being this wide, I do think I would have some early consideration on Darius Garland fantasy points. And then looking at the front court here, I've got Evan Mobley sitting around 41 fantasy points in my soft projections. They got him at 36, so that's a 5-point gap here. And then Lauri Markkanen at 15.5 real points, 28 fantasy points. I'm looking at a little over 30 fantasy points, so not a big gap there. So I think overall, I'm never going to feel too warm and fuzzy on anything in this game. But on the Cavs side, I think Darius Garland is probably the one I'm closest to getting behind on a fantasy point a projection. And then on the Raptors side, as of late, the Cavs have really put up a couple big or allowed a couple big games to opposing bigs. And if we lost to Gary Trent as well, on top of this doubtful tag for Anunoby, I do think Pascal Siakam would be an intriguing play for me here. And I think I was keying in on him a little bit more for DFS. But he has a 40 fantasy point projection on PrizePicks, and then not all of, but he also has a 1.5 blocks and steal a projection. And Eric, I know you like to get into some of these lower, I don't want to say contrarian numbers, but what's the right word here? Obscure, like, you know what I'm saying? A little bit more, like we talked about the guard rebounds and stuff like that. Lately, there's a lot of guys that when they post blocks and steal lines, like for instance, Alex Caruso's here. That's what he's known for, right? Getting steals and getting those defensive peripherals. Siakam being one of those guys listed at 1.5 blocks and steals against a top 2 matchup in steals allowed. If I lost Gary Trent, I would probably like that line too. But I guess I'll ask you, did you already have a beat on Cavs and Raptors, and what was sticking out for you?
Yeah, so we're still waiting on some news here. Looks like Gary Trent's still dealing with that toe injury. So I think I'm going to hold up on some of the Toronto props, but I do like if he's going to be out, we're going to see that usage bump to Van Fleet and Siakam. And you could probably take a shot at Barnes, but he's a little bit more of a fringe play today. But going back to Cleveland, I really like Garland again today. I got to say, I like the 10 assists. We're projecting him for right about 10 anyway, so it's good for a push. But the last couple games, if you take a look back, he's just been, insane assist rates, 17, 12, 14. So he's cleared this in the past, I believe 8 of 12 games, surprisingly. So I look for that to be a pretty solid prop, at least for the push, if not hitting the over. But his shot attempts and shot volumes, he's still around that 20 shots per game marker. So they actually went down on his points again, and he's cleared this 23.5 in the last, seems like forever. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. And if they're going to be without Trent today, he's got blocks and steal upside. So there's a little less defense to work with, and Garland should be in a pretty good spot to dish it or take some threes here.
Yeah, so while we're talking about Garland, my boy Josh has been putting me on this one in the last probably 2 or 3 games for the Cavs here. You mentioned Garland's shot attempts being a little bit higher, right? 20 plus, 18 plus minutes deep. Well, it's also got him to the stripe a little bit more, and free throws 7, 8, 7, 12, and we've been getting his free throw prop at around 4.5. Now they've gotten a little bit more privy here and put him at 5. But this is a line that I'm a little bit curious with to get a little bit of exposure to, especially against a defense that plays so physical. Maybe Garland's elevated shot volume here might parlay into more trips to the free stripe. I'm looking at the free throws allowed list, though. Toronto is less than average, allows or free throw attempts below league average, I would say. So it's not like a super plus matchup to draw fouls, but shot volumes for high usage guards certainly is directly correlated with free throw attempts. So 5 free throws is a kind of an intriguing click. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, and if you actually take a look at their last meeting earlier this month on the 6th, they played against Toronto, and he went to the free throw 6 for 6. So, that's in line with what we're looking at today. And if he's still going to be putting up that usage and shot volume, the last 9 games he's cleared that almost. So it's a pretty solid plus there.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to keep in our back pocket. Evan Mobley without Jared Allen, certainly I think in the games that stay a little bit more competitive and Jared Allen stays out of foul trouble, usually he's going to muscle you over 40 fantasy points by hook or by crook. So at 36, I think that line is still something I can target. What I'll say is this, Eric, and maybe you agree, there's a lot of usage guys opening up on the rest of the slate, and for PrizePicks, I like to feel more confident about a click than just betting it outright, right? So, I could feel all right about some Mobley props, but I don't got the huge warm and fuzzy. So, on a parlay approach, they probably wouldn't make front end clicks for me. I think Garland is probably the most obvious guy from this far out to feel the best about, but we're gonna have a whole lot of potential guys that are gonna make us feel a lot more confident in the absence of Middleton and Giannis and John Morant and DeMar DeRozan. So overall, this game is probably going to be one of the lower games of access for me. So I just kind of put that thought process out there. Did the Bulls lines start to develop more? Yeah. Okay. So they started putting a lot more. We only had like 3 or 4 lines before we went live, so we can move on to this Bulls game. Bulls at the Pelicans, 226 total, 2-point spread in favor of the Pelicans. I believe last night we saw the Bulls as a 1-point favorite, and there's been a little bit of movement. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan's absence is worth a couple points. We do know Levine's going to play. So we're going to use this NBA on-off court tool and pull up the Chicago Bulls and put a usage number on Vooch and Levine, because those are the first 2 guys I'm interested in getting some access to. I think those are, especially Levine. Levine could be live for 35 minutes at 30% plus usage. So let's put Vooch and Levine on the court. Let's take DeRozan off the court. And then I'm also going to make it a point to take off Mr. Lonzo Ball. And I do think there could be a couple different variations of the Bulls starting lineup today. I pulled from a source that projected Patrick Williams with Javonte Green, but I will say if this Bulls team needed more scoring, they could do a lineup that has Dosunmu and or Kobe White to pick up some shots. They could do a twin tower lineup with Tristan Thompson. So I guess I would say be a little bit on your toes for a lineup that maybe you're not looking at here now. But I certainly think that no matter what, they told us Caruso's going to be their starter, and we know Levine and Vooch are going to start, and pretty much no matter who's in the lineup, those are the hot, or Levine and Vucevic are going to be the hot points for usage. But I will gladly take 30 plus minutes of Caruso and some of his props that are out there, including that 1.5 blocks and steals that was currently out there. Going back to this query from NBA Wowie, Zach LaVine has a 32% usage rate, a 26% assist rate in this split without DeRozan and Lonzo, and Vucevic is at 26% usage, and both of these players are at 1.0 or 1.25 or greater fantasy points per minute for PrizePicks scoring. Now I'll say there's not a huge amount of minutes, especially considering we're at the final 8 games of the season for most of these teams. But it is at least a early push in the right direction. So with that information, I had Levine projected for a little over 40 fantasy points earlier. I'm willing to move that up depending on what we think this game or how this game can play out. But I think a solid baseline for fantasy points is 40. And then if you thought 50 plus was in play, I don't disagree. Do you have the most attackable line for you early on for the Bulls? I know it just came out, so it's kind of like an unfair question. But real points for Zach LaVine, I know fantasy points is nice, but real points for Zach LaVine is a fun one for me because LaVine on the season averages just under 25 real points a game, and DeRozan's like 27 points a game. So if he just hit his season average in real points and took 2 or 3 buckets from LaVine, it just seems like simple elementary math to assume that Zach LaVine could have a shot at 30 real points today. So that's a line that I don't hate. If we let this near 30% or 34%. 27% assist rate for LaVine tell the story, I guess you could make a case for his assists. But with LaVine, I'm always interested in points and maybe fantasy points, but in this case, points and how he scores points. And that 2.5 threes is also a very intriguing number to me. So I guess if I'm jotting notes early, I'm going to put LaVine real points, LaVine 2.5 threes, and then probably something about Vooch's fantasy points and Caruso's blocks and steals. So I'm going to ask you about all of those. What do you think on them? And then I'll also point out that Caruso is somebody that I have currently at 27 fantasy points on PrizePicks, and they have him at 23. So that's a gap I can get behind, all things considered. Talk to me about the Bulls.
Yeah, for sure, man. So starting off with Caruso, I have him projected for about 27 fantasy points. So a green light for the fantasy score or his PRA even. But now that we know he's going to be back in the starting lineup, this is probably going to be something I'm going to wait a little bit closer to lock till we get some lineups because I do want to see, are they going to go small ball? Because the Pelicans can also do that. They can go small or they can go Twin Towers style, match them with Thompson and Vooch, and you could have Valanciunas and Hayes on the other side, or something like that. Or they could go with their 3-point shooters. They got Devontae Graham's supposed to be back today. Herbert Jones will take some shots, and McCollum's back to full strength now.
And Larry Nance is going to debut today, apparently.
Oh, okay, yeah, even more. So a lot of that's going to wait. For me on the starting lineup, but we know that LaVine is going to be the guy. He's going to be the shot taker, and he's going to be the usage bump that sees the most. So feel pretty confident about either his real life points or his fantasy score here. But also with DeRozan out, that DeRozan gets involved pretty heavily in the rebounds and assists here. So I would look for either one of those props to probably level out. They have his rebounds at 4.5 here, and I feel like that's a little bit too low. His season average has been about 4.5, almost 5 now in the last, I believe, since DeRozan's been dealing with that hip injury. So I would probably take maybe a shot on the 4.5 over on the rebound, but feel really confident at 26.5 points. And for Vooch, just taking a blanket on his fantasy, I think it is probably the safest approach today.
Yeah, 40 fantasy point definitely feels a little bit light for a 1.3 fantasy point per minute production rate. The matchup, I think the Pelicans have been pretty set in this Jackson Hayes J-Val lineup. I would assume that Larry Nance is not playing significant minutes. I put him down for 15 just to kind of get your feet wet. So I like if Devontae Graham's playing, I'm assuming that the projected lineup that I've got is the way to go. So with that said, I think that leaves all the reason in the world for Vucevic to play his normal run, and that much more considering the absence of DeRozan. So I do think Vucevic at 40. Like when we look up tonight and he has like 60, like I'm not gonna be, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see, Nikola Vucevic. FTP by game log without DeMar DeRozan. Let's go last 5 games on this one. 58 on January 24th. However, that's against the Thunder, and that's like the best matchup on the planet. And that's the only game this season of Vooch without DeRozan. So, yeah, that's one of those spots where maybe we can project it better than the lines because the lines don't have a whole lot of sample size to go off of. So give me Vooch at 40, and then give me Caruso something. And I'm thinking fantasy points is going to be the spot for me. DeRozan represents 35 plus minutes that they're going to fill out, and I could see if the Bulls take a deficit. I can see them going not to Javonte Green or Patrick Williams in a set and maybe pulling out maybe a 3-guard set. And I think Kobe White's one of those guys that could be a little bit of a spark. But I think no matter what, a guy like Alex Caruso that can buy you a possession or two on the defensive end. There's just a lot of reasons to imply Caruso for a decent bit of run today. So I do like 23 fantasy points as a start for Caruso. Matter of fact, I need to open up a notepad and start logging some of these privy spots. So let me go. I'm going to type Zach LaVine real points. What do you think? Yes? And then Alex Caruso fantasy points. And then Nikola Vucevic fantasy points. And now let's flip over to the Pelicans here. I didn't when I just did my spreadsheet update. I didn't have a definitive O on Ingram. I'm assuming he's out, but I thought that was interesting that it wasn't already listed with a big bright O. He's doubtful, so he's getting closer to in. So in the absence of Brandon Ingram, I've certainly been very privy to playing CJ McCollum. We'll pull up the Pelicans props here and see if there's anything that's glaring. If there's Pelican props, there is. So we got 24.5 real points for CJ. We got 6 assists for CJ, 35.5 PRA, 39 fantasy points. So I've got CJ right now at 41. That's right on the button with them. Let me see what my assist prop for CJ was early. I feel like 6 is kind of on the low side. I'm 5.4. We know his assist rate's like 35, 36%, even with Devontae Graham on the court. I'll pull up that on-off and put McCollum on, Ingram off. You have cats, by chance?
I do not.
Okay.
No, I got little doggos behind me.
I've got a cat that sheds insanely, and I just feel... And sometimes it might just be in my head in chat. Maybe you guys can relate. But it just feels like I have a piece of fur tickling the top of my nose, and I don't know. So I don't know. Chat probably thinks I have like a coke addiction because I keep rubbing my nose, but I swear it just feels like I'm being tickled by fur. Anyway, just generally on the season, CJ McCollum without Brandon Ingram has a 36.7% assist rate, and then when you see that number, you're like, oh, but Devontae Graham could play. He could steal some of that. Well, possibly, but when you put Devontae Graham on the court with CJ McCollum, with Ingram also off the court, McCollum's assist rate is still just fine, 36.5% assist rate. So with that said, I know McCollum's sweating his assist rates. Him and I don't know, Cole Anthony lately sweating their assist props hasn't been as fun as you would think it would be. But you put a scrappier guard defender on him like a Caruso, I think I think that 6 assist prop is low enough that like the Garland 10. I feel like worst case scenario in a competitive game is that it pushes, and then as long as we don't get a hook attached to this, I also feel like this could really just be a 8+ assist game for CJ McCollum. So I like him quite a bit, and I like him to work with Jonas Valanciunas, and putting up points on the Bulls, especially in the paint, has certainly been a pretty valuable strategy. So maybe we can get a little bit of a pick and roll action with him and Jackson Hayes. So CJ McCollum, 6 assists. How excited does that make you?
Yeah, that's right in line. They had the prop there at 7 for a little while, I think last week, and it being back to 6 is pretty solid. It's good for a push at least. Yeah. So one thing I'll say, at least for PrizePicks, if they're putting something right at a 0, it's because they don't know. They don't have concrete data to push it one way or another. So a lot of these times, if you can get an opportunity to make even like some kind of a parlay bet to get in on a push, that's a good return on your investment. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people don't pay attention to when there's just a flat where you have an opportunity for a push and not for just it's win or loss situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my friends at Add More Funds at OddsJam, and look at what the boards are at. And there's a lot of lines moving right now to 6.5 on McCollum. So I'm pretty confident that McCollum line is gonna see 6.5 soon. There's a couple of spots that have them at 5.5, and then of course the over on 5.5 is getting enough juice, like -150, that it's going to even out to 6 in some spots. But there's even books that started him off at 6.5. BetMGM has a 6.5 prop on him right now. Betway, Borgata. So we'll see that level out here. But it's available at 2 different numbers right now. But I do think that 6.5 is probably going to be something that's we're going to see before lock. So if you like that 6, maybe taking advantage of it sooner than later. And I don't hate 6.5, by the way. Like, I don't think 6 is the must be at number for a 36% assist rate. I definitely think this could be a big CJ assist night, especially if you put some scrappy defenders on him like Ayo DeSumo and Alex Caruso. Also on the Pelicans here, Jonas Valanciunas has a 37 fantasy point prop, which I have him for 40, so slightly leaning the over. I thought that my projections would come out drastically different than PrizePicks. Usually I'm way higher on some spots like this, especially on JVal, but that's not the case so far, so that's interesting to me. We'll tighten the screws as we go, and maybe something flourishes here, but 37 fantasy points is intriguing, and then the usage on JVal is at 25% in the split with Devontae with CJ, so that's fine, especially when we talked about how scoring against the Bulls has certainly been something a little bit more fruitful in the front court. And as we get more meaningful Caruso minutes with DeSumo, and then one of these days Lonzo will come back, that'll be kind of like a reverse funnel situation where you just score more on the bigs. Vucevic definitely susceptible defensively, and Josh preaches it. That pick and roll defense for Vucevic, it might be the worst in the league. So certainly something that JVal could take advantage of. I just do fear that the Pelicans can be a little bit more spread out, right? We know Jackson Hayes can spike. We've seen Willie Hernangomez come off the bench and go nuts in 10, 15 minutes. So I definitely understand the pushback or the volatility, and who knows what Larry Nance's minutes mean. So I'm probably not going to add JVal to our list here, but I'm going to keep CJ McCollum where he's at on the list. I think that 6 assists is pretty valuable. Anything else on the Pelicans side that has you intrigued?
Nothing that's too over the top. One thing I will say of note is the Hernan Gomez brothers have been playing, obviously on different teams, but ironically, they've both been playing more minutes and have just had insane usage these last couple games. I don't know if is that like a twin thing or what's going on with that?
No, I mean, that's just a Hernan Gomez thing. We've seen that all throughout the years. So we did just get a bunch of news from the Pacers. Malcolm Brogdon is going to rest again. So that's back-to-back days that he's out for rest. Halliburton's listed as questionable. He was technically questionable yesterday. Isaiah Jackson is listed as out. He cleared concussion protocol yesterday. And then after 7-8 minutes of action, got a headache, and then because of the concussion protocol, they yanked him from the game. He's listed as out. Chris Duarte is listed as out. Jalen Smith is not on the injury report, so we probably expect him to play. Goga is listed as questionable, and the Pacers should get blown out of the gym metrically and metaphorically and probably literally. Okay, so there's our Pacers news. We'll see if they adjust anything on that. I will say that I thought that Brogdon would play, right? Like, he was out for rest last night, nothing else. So resting both legs of a back-to-back is weird. But I guess they might be wanting to lose more than they need to win. Kind of like the Thunder and Magic yesterday. At one point, I thought they were going to shoot the basketball in each other's baskets, man. It got ugly. Let me get caught up on chat here. Nate Deese is what you sniffing, gun. Come on now. Steve says McCollum projection seems safe, but I need news on Nance to feel good about anything else. Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I feel like with that, then I look at it, actually have hair. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, OG. What up, Vincent Jefferson? Pacers just blew up. Yeah. What site is that for all the betting odds? Desmond, that is that's a site that I use called OddsJam. By the way, I think later today, I'm gonna have a video featuring some more usage of that site, OddsJam. I have a link. I have an invite link that for them as well, but it's a pretty nifty site, and they are a new channel sponsor. So you see about 3 videos a week for me specifically using their tools. But that was the site that I've been using called oddsjam.com. Check them out. Hit that like button. We're at 90 on a lazy Thursday afternoon with a late lock? No way.
Let's go.
90 viewers. Shout out to you guys. You guys are the best. If 90 of you want to win $20, the Josh video that we posted this morning, there's a contest attached to it. Josh didn't even know about it. It's really for those of you guys that are present in paying attention. But if you go to Josh's video, you leave a comment on the video itself. You got to be subscribed, and then go to the free Discord. There's a channel called 324, as in March 24th today giveaway. You type your YouTube username in here, assuming that you left a comment on Josh's video, and you guys would be entered to win a quick $20 PayPal giveaway. So you could get yourself a $20 5-pick flex tonight, just based on being a member of the community and putting some engagement on Josh's video. So go do that, and maybe I'll do something similar for the OddsJam video, but maybe not. Dave Kovetsky, what up, Dave? Smith and Jackson depends on whether to play Goga. Yeah, unfortunately, one of my top lineups last night on FanDuel had Isaiah Jackson. I figured once he cleared concussion protocol, he was good, but unfortunately, not so much. Wayne's World, I went and got food. By the time I came back, he was already green. Yeah, yo, Chronic, are you working today? Let me know, man. I got a hole in the next show, if you know what I'm saying. Wayne says Udonis. That Udonis Haslam situation with Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra throwing the clipboard on the ground. Oh, Jimmy's reputation precedes him, man. But this is becoming a habit for him. What up, Sona? What up, Desmond? What is that second word you used? You're saying odds jam. So like, I don't know, jam jelly? I don't know. You know what I mean. All right. Washington Wizards at the Milwaukee Bucks. So no Kyle Kuzma in this one. We knew no Chris Middleton last night, but then as I roll out of bed today, Giannis Antetokounmpo gets rolled out. So we get ourselves a matchup that probably levels out a little bit more with no Giannis for the Bucks here. Remember, without Middleton and just Giannis, they were able to smoke the aforementioned Bulls. I figured it could have been more of the same here against the Wizards, but maybe now we get a little bit more of a neutral opportunity at a 4-quarter basketball game, and we can really dig our teeth in to some Bucks players to pick up a ton of minutes, a ton of usage, and a lot of peripherals that Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton leave on the table. So let's go back to this on-off court tool. And before I do all of this blabbering, let me make sure they have Bucks props up. They do. All right.
They do.
So let's go to Milwaukee. I'm not, but it's 2:40 a.m. Oh, god dang, Chronic. I forgot about the time change. I don't know why I was thinking it was all right. All right, so we'll pull up the Bucks here. Let's put Drew Holiday on the court. Let's take off Giannis. And then let's take off Mr. Chris Middleton. And on this season, and a lot of these minutes are not going to include Brook Lopez, but it's not that big of a deal. Drew Holiday has a 37% usage rate, a 49% assist rate, 389 minutes played, 1.5 essentially fantasy points per minute on PrizePicks scoring. There's a lot to like about Drew Holiday without anyone else. I'm getting about a 50 fantasy point projection for PrizePicks scoring. They have them at 47, so it's not that far from what I'm looking at. But they have a couple other lines that maybe haven't caught up. That 40 to 50% assist rate at 9.5 seems intriguing. But I think the real point line is something I can get behind, 23.5. And then 3 free throws. If he's going to be putting up this extra implied volume of shot attempts, I don't mind the thought of him drawing a few more fouls and getting to the stripe here. Let me see where the Wizards are at in free throws allowed. Washington, and they're 12th in free throws allowed per game, so nothing incredible. But I mean, this is 2 fouls, right? Can Drew Holiday draw 2 fouls without Giannis and Middleton? It's possible. Let's go pull up Drew Holiday FTP by game log without Giannis and Antetokounmpo last 5 games. And this is PrizePicks scoring, by the way. 29 in 24 minutes against Minnesota. We don't expect that low amount of minutes to happen. 33 and 35 minutes against Portland. 42, 47, 48. And then I would assume that some of these games also include Middleton, but I'll double check. This Blazers game does have Middleton, so no Middleton today. It's kind of hard to really show a 1-to-1 on how Drew would perform without both of them. But I think we know that Drew Holiday is going to be a fixture in everything, and Drew Holiday probably. Eric, would you agree? Drew Holiday probably leads the team in minutes, assists. I could see if he didn't lead the team in points, but I'm assuming he's going to lead the team in real points. I think Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez could also kind of surprise people. And one of these secondary guards, like Grayson Allen or somebody like that, could. But it seems like Drew Holiday is going to be involved in enough of everything that he's going to be a great target today. Do you have a favorite line looking at these options for Drew Holiday? I'm thinking real points and free throws. I don't hate the fantasy score, but I would like to see a bigger gap between mine and theirs. But I think he's live for 50 fantasy points. But I'm looking for a little bit more attackable lines here. I'm thinking points and free throws. What are you thinking on Drew Holiday? I know you love your guard rebounds. It's 5 a little low. Middleton and Giannis represent some rebounds. And I don't necessarily think of Brook Lopez as a guy that's going to go out there and get 15 boards like Giannis will. So maybe you're into a line like that.
The rebounds I'm not so sure about today. I view him as the same thing as McCollum today. They're just right around that 23, 24 points, and you know what's going to happen when everyone else is out. Holiday's going to take the shot. We see this a lot too with Middleton. Whenever one or the other is out, he kind of plays more up at the point. So I do expect at least that 3-point volume to see a spike tonight. And you could take some shots on Grayson Allen. I do expect him to start, and they've kept his props right around. See, they have him at 11.5 points right now. He's more their 3 and deep shooter, so I'd probably take the 11.5 on the real points there and stay away from everything else. I just want to see. I'm expecting to have Lopez and Portis start this game, but I want to wait on lines just to make sure for confirmation.
Yeah, I fully expect that. That's what they did the last game without Giannis. They did Portis and Lopez, so I'm assuming that's going to be pretty true here. And with that split, there's going to be other lines to really like here. Brook Lopez at 14.5. I'm not in love with Brook Lopez's potential minutes limit, but Bobby Portis is live to play pretty deep minutes, and I think there's a couple lines to attack on him. 34 fantasy points is the line they have. I have him at 42, so that's bigger than my difference on Drew Holiday. So 42 minus 34, quick math, was that 7.5, 8? So I could get behind some Bobby Portis numbers here. And then if they did drop like a Bobby Portis 3-point prop, every now and then they will, I get behind that as well. So I'm also like, I'm in agreement, I guess, in theory, on Grayson Allen picking up some extra shots. I mean, how many points does Giannis and Middleton represent? It could be 30, 40, 50, 60 points at times. So I think 11.5 shooters got to, the rest of the team has to compensate for it. But I do think the Bucks become a little bit more potentially spread out, where Drew Holiday, I think, does a lot, but Brook Lopez could take 10, 15 shots. Bobby Porter, same as that. Pat Connaughton probably also is going to be in the mix as well. So I don't think it's a lock that Grayson Allen, gets us 15, 16 points, but I do think the opportunity is greater now than it has been. Usually his point prop is like 9.5, so it really only went up a bucket versus what the atypical line is. So, but I think front end interest for me is going to be like Bobby Portis and Drew Holiday, and I'm willing to take just about any Drew Holiday prop, but I might key in on points. And the assist line works well. I mean, I don't know. I just froze in real life. A 49% assist rate. A south side of 10 assists on the line here. I could get behind assist prop because I know Giannis is out, I know Middleton's out, but he still has some guys that can score with Brolo, with Bobby, with Grayson. So I don't think that'll necessarily impede his ability to get assists. I just worry about him having, just taken over this game. Also, don't see a ton of movement on this line, which has me a little bit worried. Are you still seeing 9.5 in spots? I got Bucks minus 8.5. So 8.5, 9 from an initial 12.
Yeah, I have him at minus 9.
Chad, does that seem right to you? Like, I don't know. I guess the Wizards suck, but man, I don't want to say, like, do we think Porzingis is going to be out or anything like that, but I don't know. That's a pretty aggressive line for the Bucks here without two of their clearly their best player, two of their best players, and two of their starters here. So maybe I don't know. Maybe we do have to worry about blowouts on a couple of these lines, but I think Drew and Bobby Portis for me front end interest here. Let's get caught up on chat. Matt says, unfortunately, that 3 pick you guys hooked me up with lost on. Oh, don't dude. Trey Lyles yesterday. It wasn't that Trey Lyles played bad. It was that Chimezie Metu played almost a career high good. And that was unfortunate. And it was also kind of a size thing. So I talked about it earlier. Isaiah Jackson was playing, and he caught that headache, and he ended up being out. And they turned to Terry Taylor for more minutes from the Pacers. And if you guys know about Terry Taylor, we had a couple Terry Taylor slates not that far back. Here, I'll show you about the rotation from yesterday after – this is yesterday. Pacers. Isaiah Jackson got some run in the first quarter and then caught this headache. And then Terry Taylor played a decent chunk in the middle of the second quarter, played a whole lot in the end of the third quarter and fourth quarter with Goga Batadze playing a little bit in the fourth quarter. So they played a whole lot smaller than anticipated yesterday. And because they were playing smaller, it also made more sense for Metu over Trey Lyles to be in the mix. And then on the King side, on top of Metu doing well, Alex Len got a chunk of minutes. So there was a lot of unfortunate moons aligning, but Trey Lyles only ended up playing 22 minutes versus what I thought could have been 30 minutes. And points per minute was there, but I definitely had him live for more than 22 minutes, and that was just an unfortunate outcome. So our bet on that, the Kings front court all year long has been kind of annoying, even before the Sabonis trade with Rashawn Holmes, Marvin Bagley. It's just, once you think you know, right? Once there's no way that Trey Lyles can't get run, after Trey Lyles has really decent games against the Phoenix Suns and Boston Celtics, a dream matchup like the Pacers comes along and his minutes ends up going down. What are you going to do? Babe, type in chat. Let me know if you need more smoothie. No, I'm good. Wayne's World. Bruce Brown line moved to 21.5 PRA after Seth Curry news, and he finished with 21. Oh, that's unfortunate. Hello, mate. I hope Terry Taylor goes crazy again tonight. He just might. There's a lot of moving Q tags over there for the Pacers, and Taylor's probably going to be could, or I'll say probably, he could be part of a blowout squad if you subscribe to the theory that the Grizzlies should be able to put away the Pacers pretty handily. Wizards side of this game, wow, I didn't realize we're running over on time, but it's fine. I think I got a solo DFS stream after this. Any Wizards lines that you're privy to? I guess Porzingis is really the only one that I would feel somewhat comfortable with. But KCP is in the mix in a pace-up, no Kuzma spot as well. Anything on the Wizards that you would put your hard-earned money on?
Yeah, definitely Porzingis real points over. I think they only had him at 19.5 this last game, or this last card, so nothing's changed. It only went up a half a point, and he cleared that pretty easily. I do like Neto for the 4.5 assist. I do expect him to start, and we know Porzingis and KCP and seeing Hachimura recently, their shot volume has increased. So all those guys are going to be, for the most part, on the starting unit, and really my warm and fuzzy is just going to be Porzingis real points and Neto for the assists, and maybe his real points, but probably not.
Yeah. Porzingis being able to play over 30 minutes in that was it Houston game, that was a good sign. So at least we're able to put to rest the hard fear that he can't play 30 minutes. Well, he did get to 32 minutes against Houston, so good sign there. I do think the matchup is lukewarm. It's definitely better than it was, and we know his usage is through the roof. So I definitely wouldn't talk anyone off of anything on Porzingis if they had that feeling in their bad knee. 37 fantasy points. My first projection run was 47, so I actually get a 10-point gap between mine and theirs on a 28-minute run. So I definitely don't mind Porzingis here because he's going to be that involved. They also have 20.5 real points, and he's probably going to be a top 1, top 2 field goal attempt guy for them in his minutes played. So I definitely think we can get behind some of these Porzingis lines. I just worry about this 8 to 9 point spread because I don't know. I guess I'm over respecting the Wizards here, but the Bucks without Giannis and Middleton certainly feels like a spot where it seems a little bit bullish to project too much of a lopsided game. Guys, if you're here for the DFS show, I just moved it back 15 minutes. It's late lock anyway, so no worries. Also, if you're here, you didn't catch it, there's a $20 giveaway. Josh's first look video. All you gotta do is be a subscriber to the channel, leave a comment in on that video, and then go to the free Discord. Link to the free Discord in the description below. And now a lot of you guys are getting in there. Poor Blizzy Dirk. Blizzy was like the only one that had it done, paid attention, and then everyone else is just like coming from this stream to do it. But it's all about cheating and getting engagement with that video. We got Pacers at the Grizzlies. So while we were live, or while we've been live, we've got several bits of Pacers news. If you guys missed that slew of Underdog NBA updates, shout out to Jay Fan. We got, first of all, we got Malcolm Brogdon out again for rest. That's back-to-back nights where he's going to miss for rest. Halliburton listed as questionable with the back designation. This is the same designation he had last night. And you would think since they gave us 3 other guys out that if he was going to be for sure out, they would let us know now. But I guess now, if he played through it last night, I guess there's a chance he could play through it again today. But Brogdon, Isaiah Jackson, Chris Duarte, all listed as out. Jalen Smith had an illness, but he's no longer on the injury report, so I guess he's going to play. And then Goga Bitadze is on the injury report with a foot issue listed as questionable. On the other side, the Memphis Grizzlies gave us a bit of news. Ruled out Brandon Clark, ruled out John Morant, and ruled out Dylan Brooks. So that's going to really, really help us key in on the Grizzlies. And do we have Grizzlies prompts on PrizePicks? If so, we got a couple. If so, I know just process of elimination, I'm going to like Tyus Jones. I'm going to love Desmond Bane. And I think Jaren Jackson has a strong case today. I think last night he let some people down. I didn't have interest in Jackson last night because I thought the matchup against KD, Kyrie, for him to be like a top 5 guy in fouls for 36 could be a little bit risky. He ended up playing 33 minutes anyway. Just wasn't that effective for fantasy. I think today, I think this is a get right spot. We just have to worry about the scoreboard because without John Morant, and even without John Morant and Dillon Brooks, this Grizzlies team has just been just incredible. They are now 15-2 with a defensive rating of like 100. Memphis Grizzlies defensive rating without John Morant this season. And 100, as I said on yesterday's stream, would be the best in the NBA. It would be better than the Celtics with more sample size. Celtics are at like 105, 106 on the season and a little bit tighter since the new year. So they're a hard team to score against. And yesterday, I know the Nets put up a lot of points, but the Nets had like 25 plus points from free throws. So that helped them out, and that was the game theory that we kind of put together on the live stream yesterday. So I guess what I'm building here is the case that the Grizzlies should smoke the Pacers, who are not going to be full strength, not going to have Malcolm Brogdon, are on a back-to-back, had to travel, and the Grizzlies are chilling at home after another par for the course dub last night against the Brooklyn Nets, and they've just been a solid team no matter what. So if we lose Dillon Brooks, you might get more Colin Anderson. He was in foul trouble yesterday. You might get more DeAnthony Melton, who had a really strong game yesterday. But like I said, the guys that I would be really, really keen in on is Tyus Jones and Desmond Bane. And then I don't hate Jaren Jackson. I don't hate Steven Adams. So I'm going to pull off the NBA Wowie tool here and put some actual numbers, usage rates and assist rates, all that stuff next to what I'm saying right now. I'm going to put Tyus Jones on the court. I'm going to put Bane on the court. I believe Bane's usage jumps to over 30% without Ja and Dillon Brooks on the court.
They got the full props up now.
They do. Let's go, PrizePicks.
Yeah.
Let's go, PrizePicks. Oh,
They had it ready. They knew what's up.
love PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks. All right, so Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane on the court, John Morant, Dillon Brooks off of the court. Desmond Bane or Jaren Jackson gets to a 33% usage rate. Bane's only at 25, a little bit lower than I pegged him for, but he's still over fantasy point per minute. Jaren Jackson leads this split in fantasy points per minute. And then, of course, like I said, we can remove Brandon Clark from the equation here. So that's a couple extra minutes for not just Jaren Jackson, maybe Steven Adams as well. They do have some bigs behind them that if it got a little bit lopsided, sure. But Brandon Clark has been, an active part of the second unit, 20, 22, 17, 18 minutes. So if you give 3 or 4 of those to the starters and then the rest to the backups. But now all that is assuming this game stays close. So there's a couple things we could do here, Eric and chat. I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking. Do you guys want to take some shots on the full games lines for the Grizzlies, or do you want to chop it in half and attack maybe some of these half props? Because this is not that dissimilar to the game that they played last week, where John Morant was out and they smoked the Pacers pretty easily, which was on the 15th. Final score was 135-102. So, yeah, there is some differences this game than there was last game, and it's probably not the best process to assume a one-to-one repeat. But we've got 17 games of sample size to know that this Grizzlies defense is pretty elite, especially without John Morant, and that Pacers team is just kind of thrown together and tonight. So I'm going to subscribe to the thought that Memphis should be able to mightily put away this poor Pacers team. And I've already been a fan of Steven Adams' first half props anytime that they want to give them to us. So Steven Adams, 14 fantasy points as a starting point here. This is a line he's absolutely demolished in each of his last five games. I guess he barely got there against Atlanta. But I love picking on this front court for the Pacers. Pacers right now allow... actually, I'll look at the last 5 centers against the Pacers. But this Pacers team is just so porous in every department that it's kind of laughable that Adams is at such a low projection right now. Last 5 centers against Indiana. Last night, Damian Jones, 25 and 31. There was Drew Eubanks. Christian Wood had that 69 fantasy point game. Steven Adams just had 32 in 23 minutes against them. Clint Capella, 33 in 22 minutes. It's just a really strong spot for center. So I think, Eric, I don't know, you agree? I'm going to put Steven Adams first half fantasy as one of the lines I want to target, and then I want something on Tyus Jones and Dylan Brooks. I think Tyus Jones would play a little deeper run, and maybe I wouldn't be too spooked on his full game body of work lines. We don't have anything on him yet. Oh yeah, we do. 7.5 assists on Tyus Jones. If we look at that split here, Tyus has a 30% assist rate, and we saw that again last night. So I mean, 7.5 for a who's that guy feels uncomfortable, but 10 assists against Brooklyn last night, 11 against Indy, and 26. That might be a line I get behind. And Jaren Jackson fantasy points, I think, is going to get me in trouble. We just talked about how he leads this team in usage with this specific split. And he's also such a high block generator. If you take out some Brandon Clark minutes, if we get to 32 minutes at 32% usage, I'm going to get probably well into the high 30s on a fantasy projection. And they started him off at 34. Wrestling with the potential blowout, I guess it's fair to not feel super warm and fuzzy and lock that one in there, but it's still intriguing to me to get behind. And then Desmond Bane real points, 22.5 is intriguing. This is one of those that I might chop in half and go after that first half as well, if they give me a solid number for Bane in the first half. Just looking at all the first half lines, Bane at 11.5, Jaren Jackson 10.5 points with 17 fantasy points as his first half line. That's very interesting to me. And then Tyus Jones is at 7.5 real points. Not that interesting. I think Steven Adams' first half fantasy so far it feels like my favorite safe option. But talk to me about the Grizzlies. I'm very long-winded, man. You got to shut me up.
No, hey, I'm just letting you finish. So yeah, there's these first half props. I definitely am right there with you. I like the Steven Adams 14 and Jaren Jackson even. I wouldn't play them together, so kind of pick either or. But we are looking at both of these teams are going to be on a back-to-back. Currently, Indiana only has 10 active guys, and we got Q tags on 2 more. So with that being said, we could see this game turn into just a terrible, terrible college level nonsense. This could be high school ball going on. Minutes could be flat across the board on both teams. So that does concern me. I would probably be a little bit more prone to taking some unders today. I know I've been attacking Jaren Jackson's under points, real points as of recently, just going up against some of these tougher defensive matchups. But this game is going to be, I don't think it's going to be close. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Halliburton get ruled out later on today and they just throw in the G League team and they play like that. So you could take some shots on these first half points, but this honestly might be kind of a stay away spot for me today. I don't know. No warm and fuzzies on that.
Didn't Lance Stevenson play for the Grizzlies? we start losing Halliburton, man. We might have Lance in the grindhouse for DFS purposes. But yeah, I like a lot of the Grizzlies on the surface, but then that 12.5 point spread starts speaking to me, and we'll see if it develops even further. Looking at the live odds right now, it's about 11.5. So sometimes when I overthink, I guess, the spread, I get in trouble. But I think this Grizzlies team has just been so elite. But they also came off a pretty, I don't want to say emotional, but going against Kyrie and KD is a little bit different. It's kind of like the come down effect after a high energy night. Like we saw Trae Young in New York. Goes out, he hustles and gets out that done. Then you put him in Detroit the next night. Your body's kind of coming down from that adrenaline. You're not as stoked to play against Jeremy Grant and Sadiq Bey. Although Cade Cunningham had a franchise record in plus minus. So shout out to Cade Cunningham. Steve says I got Jackson at 32.6% usage with no Ja or Brooks. I have him at 32.8, but I've also put Tyus on the court. So I guess if you didn't specifically put Tyus on the court and just went, you're talking about Jackson. I'm looking at Desmond Bane. So I guess if we just put Jackson on the court without Bane, remember Bane missed a little stretch this season as well. So if it's just strictly Jackson with no Morant and Brooks, yes, Jackson does have that 32 plus percent usage rate, which it was still over 30% with Tyus and with Dylan Brooks. So the usage is going to be there, and hopefully a couple more minutes will be there. So I do like the thought of Jaren Jackson. I just am worried about this. So I might grab some first half Grizzlies props, and that Steven Adams one is really speaking to me. All right, on the Suns side, am I reading the chat correctly? Did we just get Chris Paul probable stuff?
Yeah, a little bit of news here.
This is a heavy news day so far. Luka's not on injury report. Davies for time. Blah 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 blah. After missing last 15 games due to thumb fracture, Suns say All-Star Chris Paul is probable to return tonight versus the Nuggets in Denver. And it was a thumb, so I know conditioning is often a concern for guys that have been out for quite a bit coming back. However, you can get on that treadmill with a thumb injury, right? You could play in the All-Star game with a thumb injury. So I don't know what to project his minutes at, but I guess it wouldn't stun me tonight if he went out there and logged a solid 30. Suns are on night 2 of back-to-back. Here's why I think that's Chris Paul playing is intriguing. If the Suns win today, they clinch the number 1 seed, I believe. So they can just get it over with, and then they can kind of just babysit the rest. Yeah, they got a 9-game lead over first place, and I think there's like 8 games left for a lot of teams. So if they win today, they locked into that 1 seed in the Western Conference. So maybe a playoff atmosphere for Phoenix after that game last night. Obviously, no matter what, we expect them to win one more game this season and be the number 1 seed. But hey, get it over with and start prepping for the playoffs. Going into the altitude, night 2 of a back-to-back, the rest of Chris Paul's team was in a track meet last night, down to the wire, essentially, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. A lot of text, a lot of jaw-jacking, and then, going into Denver, not necessarily the best spot for you. And Denver was favored by 4, but I wonder if Chris Paul was worth anything. They still got Denver favored here, but we'll see if that line changes. So something to keep an eye on. So with that Chris Paul news, we know when Paul and Booker and Ayton are on the court together, Booker leads the trio in usage at about 30%. His shot, I mean, he might be the guy to target for real points, but I don't know that we're going to get lines that we could take advantage of. Like maybe Cameron Payne assist last night to tonight would have been something we were on. Well, obviously that's off the board. We don't have any props for the Suns on the board, so there's really nothing to talk about other than what do we do with the Nuggets. And the Nuggets are usually Nikola Jokic and move on. But I do think that the Suns are one of those teams that defensively usually find a way to target the other team's number 1 guy, whether it be trapping the guy every time he gets the ball and going from there. And that was something we talked about with Josh, and Josh discussed in his first look video this morning. If Jokic adjusts to that adjustment, it might be a spot where Jokic's assists go up, right? He's one of the most elite passers in the league. So if he starts drawing a lot of double teams and a lot of traps, maybe this 8 assist line becomes a little too low for him, and he can beat that. But I think no matter what, a full strength Suns team with Chris Paul back in the mix to maybe general that defense. I don't think there's going to be anything on the Nuggets side I'm going to be overly excited to get behind. And I guess with that said, maybe I can flirt with a couple of unders. But I think if I had to force something and wanted to sweat an over, I'm thinking maybe 8 assists for Jokic. But that's not like a core player or anything like that. What's your read on a full strength Suns team looking to get that 1 seed locked down and start getting ready for the playoffs? Anything on a props side of things that you would take some action on?
Yeah, real fast on the Nuggets here. They bumped Monty Morris's assist back down to 3.5. His season average is 4.3. So that's a huge glaring outlier right there. And he's cleared that in the last, I think 10 of 12 games. So that's a huge mistake on their part, and we'll probably see that jump up to 4, especially with Phoenix. This is going to be a really good matchup, and we know who the star players are going to be. But as far as numbers go, I'm seeing a huge outlier right there for that. And I know I had mentioned this on Tuesday with injured guys coming back. I've been really attacking their real points under. I'd probably say with Chris Paul coming back, they were keeping his real points right around 15, 16 or so. If it's at 14 and a half or over, I'm going to go with the under on that and feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Let's see if there's anything by the books for real points on Chris Paul. I guess there probably wouldn't be. I don't think a lot of people expected this to happen. The books, by the way, had Devin Booker or have Devin Booker at about 26.5. So we'll see if that opens back up. But yeah, I think I'm going to be really hyper focused on a couple of these earlier spots, and this game not so much, unless there's just like an egregious line that I can't say no to. Chat 137. I think that's a record for this PrizePicks show. Shout out to you guys. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. If you want to win $20, it's real simple. It's real simple. I'll show you what you got to do. Go to youtube.com/Gundacker. Pull it up. Let me make sure. Boom. It is up. And you click, I guess if you just click videos, it's the easiest way. One, you got to make sure you're subscribed. But Josh's first look video from this morning. Some of you guys might have missed it. Some of you guys watched it and just had it on in the background and didn't pay attention to this glaring white text in the left side here. $20 PayPal giveaway. 1, subscribe to the channel. 2, leave a comment on this video. We're trying to stir engagement with these videos. And then join the free Discord. 100% free. Link to that. It's in this description. It's in the description of this. When you open up the Discord, you'll see a channel specifically for today called the 324 giveaway, March 24th giveaway. Type your YouTube name in here, and you'll be eligible to enter. And then once we draw the winner, I'll tag you, and we'll send you $20 via PayPal. So make sure you have PayPal, because I'm not sending you any. I'm not gonna wire you Bitcoin or whatever whatever you kids do these days. I sounded so old. If we had to recap a couple of our favorite plays, for me, Eric, I have Zach LaVine real points, Caruso fantasy points, Vooch fantasy points, CJ McCollum assists, Steven Adams first half fantasy, and then I'll start meditating on other spots. Do you have any other favorite plays that you're finding yourself potentially anchoring on from this far out?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Garland, real points, 23.5 over, Porzingis, 20.5 over, and then that last call there on Morris, 3.5 assists on the over as well.
Mate assist. Okay, so that's Eric's lines. All right, and then chat, if you guys want to see what my final stuff ends up being, behind the paywall at rundfs.com, do have the rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. My projections are in that. My PRA projections are in that as well. My prop projections. But we also do DFS, obviously. And then we have the premium Discord as well. And I'll be in the voice chat on that for the 2 hours before the first game tips off. But with all that said, I got to do a couple things. One, I got to get off the air on this show. And then I got to start the DFS show. But I also have to do a quick projection sweep for the next show. So if you guys are going to hang out with me for a little bit on the next show, I'm trying to play background music. What's going on here? This is weird. There we go. This channel, this link will bring you to the next link, and I'll talk about all these games a little bit more in depth, going at it from a FanDuel and DraftKings mindset again. Eric, next week, sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm doing this full time now, so this is something that I'm going to be around for a while, hoping to hop in some baseball with you and see where it goes.
Baseball, let's go. All right, chat, I'll be right back. Couple minutes for the DFS stream. If you're out of here and you're not into DFS, hey, that's cool too. All I'd ask for is that thumbs up. I hope you crush it tonight. Twitter.com/Gundacker. Hit that sub button. Hit that like button. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.